Bam. I greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mention both Jesus and Muhammad's names. You're looking at the Underground Railroad. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30. And I want to say hi to the people in the United States, Central America, Canada, Asia, Africa, the UK, and damn, I don't know somebody out, the Middle East. Okay. And you know what, today I am just honored because you know what, we have researchers in the community in Chicago, Illinois, and one comes on Trick City, which I like this show too. So I'm gonna give you Trick City, man. Watch Trick City. And I had met Brother Randy Evans by hearing about him on WVON because he always calls in, and I called in. That's a radio station in Chicago, 1690. Brother Salim Bouakil. I feel like I'm doing a commercial for Brother Salim. You'll never do one for me. But I want y'all to introduce yourselves, and I want to say thank you for, you know what, gracing us with your presence to come on the Underground Railroad TV show.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. My name is Obenwali Ojikutu. I take great pride in that name because Obenwali is one of the names they gave Malcolm when he went to Nigeria. So I adopted the name, long lost brother that's returned home.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I'm Randy Evans, researcher, and been active for over about 31, 32 years.
Okay, I want to thank you, brother, for making that connection, and I appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay, you know, it's time for us to get on down to work now. You know, this is the anniversary of the assassination of Brother Malcolm X. I forgot his other name.
L. Miles, Militia Boss.
And for people that don't even know anything about Malcolm X, what did he mean to the African American community in the world? Who was he? What did he mean?
Brother Obenwali.
Malcolm, to me, I feel as if I knew him because of Dr. Ben and Dr. Henry Clark. They were all good friends.
Okay.
In fact, they used to feed him information on anytime he wanted to know about history, he would come to those elders to ask them. Wow. He would go on certain shows, debates, especially Herb Cups in it. They would feed him the information and everything, so they became very good friends. So Malcolm, to me, was a brother that was very sincere. Yeah. He couldn't be bought, and once he locked in, that was, I mean, he was devoted to what he was doing.
Okay. Do you ever comment on Brother Malcolm?
Oh, sure. Brother Malcolm was one of my favorites. As a matter of fact, I admire Malcolm. As a matter of fact, I graduated from Malcolm X College.
Oh, did you?
I went there because the school was named after Malcolm X. I graduated from Malcolm X back in the 1980s. And I developed a appreciation for Brother Malcolm X when I was a teenager. As a matter of fact, I was a student at St. Boulevard High School in Roseland, and we were instructed by the teachers and instructors to read the autobiography of Malcolm X. So that's how I became familiar with Brother Malcolm X back in the 70s. The autobiography was written by Brother Malcolm along with Alex Haley. And I thought that book was quite interesting and edifying. It was just very enlightening because here this brother transformed himself into basically a revolutionary. You know, he went through he experienced a number of things as a young brother. Both his parents were Garveyites. His father died a very tragic death. Was beat up and laid across some tracks, and then the train ran across him, cut him in half and stuff. In pieces, and because he was preaching Garveyism. Yeah. So that's how I became familiar with Brother Malcolm.
I see these books you have here, and like I said, you've read the book, both of you read the book of the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yes.
And we're going to get off into the books, because I recognize the real gold is not in those hills, they're in the library.
Yeah. Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
And y'all are researchers, but y'all know better than me. I want to ask you, you know what? I believe that you gentlemen were under the tutelage of Brother Steve Coakley, and there are a lot of people that don't even know who Steve Coakley is. I have this picture up there. And Brother Mandrake. Now, y'all wasn't under his tutelage. Can y'all touch on Steve Coakley and Mandrake?
Sure.
Okay. Brother Steve, to me, was heck of a researcher. He enlightened me to a lot of things about secret societies and their effect on the African community. And the oath takers, that's what Steve would always talk about, the oath takers. And when I did the research, I found out that this is one of the problems that we as a race have suffered from down for many, many years, is informants being oath takers.
Yes.
Once you take an oath, it's like you're bound, especially when you take it from the demon forces. And what Steve would call have a little once more Negroes. These are the ones that sold the revolution down the drain during the time of Garvey, during the time of Malcolm, and even when Dr. King got into the international arena, they told him that he shouldn't touch that type of subject, but Dr. King kept on with it. I believe that's the reason why he was assassinated, because of his international stance.
He was assassinated.
He was assassinated.
Who do you think he was assassinated by, out of curiosity?
Well, from my research of this guy who used to be the lawyer to the King family, what's his?
He's talking about William Pepper?
William Pepper. I read William Pepper's book, and actually it was a setup. In fact, I was in Memphis maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, and I went by the Lorraine Motel. And I found it very strange that they didn't want you to take a camera in, and they wanted to charge you. So I refused to do that, but I got a chance to look at the reef where he was assassinated, and I noticed that one of the ladies that were there was telling me that he was shot from the bushes instead of from the house that James Earl Ray was, that he was shot from the bushes, and the bushes were cut down the next day or the same day, so the evidence would be gone. So I believe this was a setup, and I believe that some of us were involved in it, because that was a motto that went out, all friendlies would not be wearing ties. In other words, shoot the one with the tie on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And there were some people with turtleneck shirts on. That the one with the turtleneck, that's the one you don't shoot. And there were others on the balcony, and he was the only one that was assassinated. And the speech that Reverend Kyle made was, as I moved away, the shots rang out. How do you know when to move away?
To almost sound like Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King, but go ahead.
Yes.
All due respect.
No problem.
From what I heard.
No problem. To add to what Brother Obenwali was saying, he's talking about the book that Brother Obenwali was talking about was Orders to Kill by William Pepper. And in the book, talked about the 111 military intelligence group that was there, that was sent there along with those part of the National Security Agency, as well as undercover agents like Morrell McCullough, who was working for police intelligence at that time, who infiltrated the Black Invaders group, the Invaders organization back in the 60s. He was the one that was a part of it. He was the one who ran up to Dr. King when Dr. King was shot. On April 4th, 1968, he was the one who ran up to Dr. King with the towel and put the towel with Dr. King's face. Now, we have to watch out for these kind of people like Morrell McCullough, who's now he was working for the CIA. People have found out. As a matter of fact, I remember when Reverend Jose Williams, was on the Geraldo Rivera show, and he said that then when King was shot, he ran up to the balcony and he said there was a guy who worked for the CIA that had a towel on Dr. King's face, and he said he started choking the hell out of him. Now, I didn't know who he was talking about, and I didn't find until the 1990s that it was Morrell McCullough, now a CIA undercover operative. He had been working for military intelligence and also police intelligence at that time.
Y'all hear that? The CIA. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then but he's not the only one. See, Morrell McCullough is not the only one. You have people like Louis Tackwood, who was setting up activists and others in California. You also had people like Gene Roberts, who was an undercover operative that was active with the Bureau of Special Services, during the time that Malcolm X was assassinated February 21st, 65.
I got a question. It's talking about we got 5 minutes to go. Seems like we just got started. But I'm sorry, I want to go to, who are the Oppenheimers, the De Beers, and how they exploited the people in Africa, and then they fooled the whole world into thinking that a common stone has value. Who are they?
Okay.
Because people on the streets don't even know. Okay.
Okay, I'll be real quick and share the time with brother on all since time is limited. One, the Oppenheimer basically was a family of basically Jews, rich Jews who basically had control of the diamonds and the gold fields, etc. in Zania, South Africa. Ernest Oppenheimer and his son Nicholas Oppenheimer had control of Anglo-American corporation along with Consolidated Goldfields, is where De Beers diamonds. That's where that James Bond film, Ian Fleming, Diamonds Are Forever, all that stuff back in the 1940s. Ian Fleming, they were all working together. And you get a book on De Beers Inc. From the data center out of California.
De Beers Inc.
De Beers Inc. Yeah, it's called what? It's called De Beers. It's called South Africa Inc. It's about De Beers. It's called South Africa Inc. And it talks about De Beers diamonds, Nicholas Oppenheimer and the Oppenheimer family, and
we got 17 minutes.
And Harry Oppenheimer.
Okay, let me ask you something. How did they, as Malcolm said, how did they hoodwink or manipulate the masses of people into believing in a common stone, which is common in Africa, a diamond, holds that much value? How did they do that?
Well, see, the thing is, really, diamonds are important if you think they are. This is just part of the earth. They're part of the earth.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend. That's what they say right here. No.
But you have to also you have to mention Cecil Rhodes, who was financed by the Rothschilds to go into South Africa and set up the diamond mines, consolidated gold mines, and in the process of him doing it, he murdered millions of Africans. And the infamy is whenever they set up Rhodes scholarships. In fact, there was a lady from Jamaica in 1995 by the name of Eleanor Brown. She was elated over the fact that she got the Rhodes Scholarship. That's tantamount to telling the Jews to accept the Adolf Hitler Scholarship. It's an insult to African people to accept it, but many of us have accepted the Rhodes Scholarship as if it's something of intelligence.
But you know what? How did they get to a point to where, you know what, they got in the land, they colonized the land, and they divided the land up, and you know what, they had one tribe fighting against the other.
Sure.
And how did they get to that point to where you know what, the people that were indigenous to that continent got manipulated like that? How?
But this one, they used the old British axiom, divide, conquer, and rule. And they were to pit the various tribes or various nations against each other. And the problem is that many of our people weren't aware that they were being played. And that's the reason why we have to understand we have to get organized as people. And many of the warriors were trying to fight them, battle the foreigners and the people who they were surprised. I mean, they know. And the thing about it is that when you come from a culture that is xenophilic,
okay, I'm not familiar with that term.
We embrace strangers. We're not fearful of strangers. See, Europeans, they come from a xenophobic culture, which they are afraid of strangers. They're fearful of strangers. And so that, just when we saw them, we didn't find them as a threat. We just thought they were just different, odd, because of their physical features, etc. And but the problem was that our people didn't take the proper action to deal with them properly and allow them to bring more people from their group over, and then until they were able to get enough over there where they brought in the military, and then they were able to colonize and neutralize many of our people. They were able to take control of different lands and resources, etc., because they were able to divide the various nations against each other and pit the various groups against each other.
Plus the weapons
in
that they
Africa.
had.
Now, we got all these books here, and I'd be dismissed. What books would you recommend people to go to the library to gather more information? Maybe not just about the subject matter that we're talking about.
Sure.
I would say recommend
The library.
Britain's Black Debt. It talks all about Britain and how they have colonized Africa, and the Queen has come over to visit, and how they murdered the Africans and enslaved them. This is a very good book by Hilary M.D. Beckless. And believe it, it's a brother. But this is a very good book.
Okay, wow. It's highly recommended. At the library. There's a
no
reason
problem.
I'm saying
No
that.
problem.
Go ahead.
And I'll do
And I just want to do one more.
Sure.
This is Liberties Lost. Caribbean Indigenous Societies and Slave Systems. Liberties Lost, which means you had liberty from the beginning. So someone who colonized you cannot give you liberty because you had it from the beginning.
Okay.
So it's just like you take over my house and then give me a room.
I understand what you're saying. Okay, And I agree. Many people should go out and pick up those books and read those books. Also, this is a new book just came out about Malcolm X, "Fighting for Our Place in the Sun" by Richard D. Benton II. It's about Malcolm X and the radicalization of the Black student movement from 1960 to 1973 by Richard Benson, who teaches at Spelman College.
That's not about the individual that died that wrote those things about Malcolm X. It was an individual that wrote a book that I think told some bylines that he was supposed to about Malcolm X, and he died before the book was published. I forgot.
Oh no, this is you're talking about Manny Marable.
Okay.
No, that's Manny Marable. He wrote the book on A Life of Reinvention. He died April 4th, 2011, on the day that Dr. King was assassinated. And I remember meeting Manny Marable back in the 1990s at the Black Radical Congress program at University of Illinois Circle Campus back in June 1998. Here's another book on The Judas Factor, The Plot to Kill Malcolm X by Carl Evans. An excellent book about who was involved in the assassination of Malcolm X. And it talks about Mr. X, John Ali, who was a former FBI agent, according to Louis Lomax's book, When the Word is Given. Also another book, The Messenger, by Carl Evans, talks about the rise and fall of Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
It gives kind of it's a balanced point of view. It gives a fair kind of analysis of Elijah Muhammad, because Elijah Muhammad did a lot of positive work in the community. So I'm not going to get into a lot of detail and try to criticize him for that other stuff, the personal stuff, because I'm not into that. Because we need to respect our leaders and think about that. They're human. They have shortcomings and faults, and so we should, just take that into consideration. The last book is Malcolm X, Make It Plain, by William Strickland and Cheryl Green. Excellent book. There's a documentary film called Malcolm X, Make It Plain that people should check out.
And these are interesting books, and you need to go to the library because, as I say, that's where the real goal is. How they can go on the internet too.
Oh yes, I agree.
Okay, I want to ask you something about the COINTELPRO.
Oh yes,
that. There's a lot of people that thinks that that's just a conspiracy theory and it does not exist. And can y'all explain what the COINTELPRO is? And then I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
Well, I do know that J. Edgar Hoover was responsible for a lot of leaders being assassinated and neutralized. For instance, in the 1919s, he had Garvey on his list of radicals.
Yes.
And of course, Malcolm. And of course, King. He was to live through all of those to know. He said, we're going to try to eliminate the Black Messiah, because he knew the impact of a charismatic leader like Garvey, King, and Malcolm.
That's correct. I agree.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry. You're about to say something.
I was going to say something about chemical warfare. Chemical warfare is going on right now in our community through us ingesting fluoride, okay, and toothpaste that we're not supposed to, chemtrails that are, I'm going in a different area to depopulate the people. Why are they doing that? And is it factual? And somebody may say that's a conspiracy theory, that there's a certain amount of people that are working to decrease the surplus of the population. Is that factual?
Well, that's true. As a matter of fact, Bill Gates is a part of it. His father, Gates Sr., was part of a group called the Population Council, and he was involved in various projects to reduce the population of non-European people, along with Bill Gates.
The Bill Gates
Microsoft
Foundation. Wow.
Yeah, see, Bill Gates is behind a lot of stuff. The Common Core program, Common Core curriculum, etc. He bankrolled a lot of that stuff. See, what they're trying to do is trying to control the population of people of African descent and other non-European people, because they know that there's power in numbers. And so they had to neutralize these groups. As a matter of fact, there was a group called Global 2000. There's a Global 2000 report where they came out with different plans in order to reduce the population, because white folks make up less than 9 or 10%, 9% of the population. The rest is people of African descent and other people from various cultures and stuff. And so the white population is shrinking, and so what they're trying to do, they manufacture, create different wars in order to try to control the population, try to crush those different individuals and stuff like that, or try to make sure that there's no more Malcolm X's and Ella Baker and Fannie Lou Hamers and the Kwame Toure's and Elijah Muhammad's and the Malcolm X's and the Garveys pop up or the Ella Bakers, etc. So that is a part of their strategy in order to try to control the population and control the resources of the world.
Now, when you make us say that, now we go back. I'm going back to Hitler and Prescott Bush. Prescott Bush helped finance Hitler.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that don't know that. But did that have anything to do with color, ethnic background, or what? Or was it about money?
Well, it was about both.
Okay.
It was about both because they are like a statement that Vanderbilt made. He said, "I am insane when it comes to making money all my life." So he's not the only one that felt that way. All of them, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, all of those have the same ilk. They have the same feeling. And so what do they think about what do they think about their own kind? In order to accomplish their goals, they commit genocide.
Genocide.
They are insane and wealth.
So what y'all basically are saying, I'm listening and I'm analyzing and processing what y'all saying, that a lot of these wars that are going on and the elimination of people, this is just not by coincidence. This is planned, dog.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Dr. Horace Campbell in his book.
What book did he? What book?
Dr. Horace Campbell wrote a book called. He wrote a book titled Global NATO and the Attack on Libya. Horace Campbell book came out about less than 2-3 years ago, right after the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, and it talked about how NATO had changed their agenda, their goals and objectives. See, when NATO, they call it North American Treaty Organization. I call it North American Terrorist Organization.
Yes, sir.
Where
they basically came up with a plan where they were part of the Warsaw Pact and others groups were a part of this NATO group, and then they started changing less than 20 years ago, and changed their goals and objectives and stuff, and it became global NATO. Their job was to deal with North American issues, stuff like that, to protect that certain regions of the world. But they then changed it. Now they are global. That wherever there's concerns or issues and stuff like that, wherever the U.S. vital interests are threatened, they will send the NATO groups in order to neutralize these forces and stuff. And also you had the group AFRICOM, the U.S. African Command, that they're basically trying to do is militarize Africa. Is in militarization in Africa, and that's the reason why I sent them, because they wanted to crush those revolutionary organizations and groups that try to rise up, like the types who are like Patrice Lumumba and Milcar Cabral's, people like Samoa Michel's, those individuals who are talking about organizing, mobilizing people and trying to nationalize the industry, trying to get our brothers and sisters to control the industry and the resources of their area. And then that's the reason why they found people like Muammar Gaddafi, Patrice Lumumba, just a number of people who have basically a kind of revolutionary ideological revolutionary ideals concerning about setting up structures and institutions that would protect the interests of their people.
But once upon a time, I'd like to ask both of y'all. Omar Gaddafi and Osama bin Laden, they used to be operatives of the CIA, but they just didn't want to follow orders anymore. Do y'all agree with that or disagree with that?
Well, about Osama bin Laden, I'm sorry if you...
Well, I don't know too much about bin Laden, but I do know that once they use you,
Saddam Hussein.
and you don't want to be used anymore,
Right.
you know they're going to get rid of you. They're going to get one of your own kind to do it.
Yes.
And that's most of the times. They are very cunning when it comes to getting rid of the person that they feel will be in their way of doing what their objectives.
You know what, when we talk about this, is it a solution? In my opinion, in your opinion, are things going to get better? Are we going to continue to degenerate as a people? You know, I can go to Yamakiyama, where it says it's going to get better for the non-believing, worse for the non-believing, go to the book of Revelations. So is it going to get better for the people or worse for the people? What's the solution?
Well, Brother Steve said this, and I agree with him. He said, you're not going to get rid of the powers to be unless you find out who they are.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
In other words, you have to name the names of so that you would have a target to focus in on. Many of us, if David Rockefeller walked down the street, many of us wouldn't know who he was.
Okay.
But we know who the personally, just like Obama and all those people.
So you're saying it's going to get better for the people?
Well, it's going to
I'm
get better
asking.
once we focus in on the people that create the problem that we have.
I want to ask you like this.
Sure.
I'm going by the book of Revelations, and I'm going by Yama. It said that it will get better for the non-believer, because you have same-sex marriage, you have bestiality, you have men going to bed. But for the believer, it won't get better.
Well, I don't know. I mean, my thing is, no disrespect to the brothers and sisters. I mean, when you talk about Yama and also the book, I mean, I have much respect for that. But I think, I'm optimistic. I think that, I believe in universal laws of common cause and effect. I think, and it's also, I don't think that like your fate is in stone. I think that you have some control. I believe in the divine. I believe you have to get organized and mobilize people. And that Kwame Ture, before he made his transition, he used to talk about us getting organized. And that is the problem. We're not as organized as we should be.
Okay. We got 2 minutes left,
Sure.
man. Time really flew.
Sure.
I want to say assalamu alaikum.
Sure.
I'm going to give y'all closing statements, and y'all might want to recommend some books while we going out. And you might want to be something you want to say, and they can catch you on Trick City.
Well, first of all, I want to say this. Many of us always
you.
put in mind this conspiracy theory, but this is reality. This is a man that wrote this book in 1798. His name is John Robinson, Proof of a Conspiracy, because he had the papers. And he wrote a book on it. And this is what Steve would say, good white sources.
Yes.
It's a good white source.
Oh, yeah. And I want to add that I hope that on this day that people remember Brother Malcolm and how valuable he was to the global community, that he was a tremendous brother, and that they should read the book Conspiracy by Zach Kondo, which talks about the assassination of Malcolm X and identifies those individuals that are involved in the assassination of Malcolm, specifically Leon Lemire, William Bradley, and Thomas Hagen, along with John Ali, the role that he played, and Gene Roberts.
Do y'all have contact information? Because will y'all do interviews on other shows? And if y'all will y'all get information where they can get in contact with y'all?
Well, they can always get in contact with me. I'll leave my my email, but right at the moment I will not leave it at the moment, but I'll leave it with you.
You want to give your telephone?
Sure, 773-783-4669.
I want to thank y'all, and assalamu alaikum, and thank you for
Wa
coming
alaikum
on
salam.
Underground Railroad. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30
Thank you for
on
having me.
AT&T Wild Television and AT&T Television. Sorry, keeping up with you guys, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
It is hard, man. But you know what? Inshallah, I would like for y'all probably to come back next month.
We would love
if
to.
that would be okay.
We would love to.
I want y'all to come back, man.
We
It's,
definitely will.
I mean, I have much respect.
So this is my brother.
I have much respect for y'all,
Well,
much respect. And you know what, man, all praises due to Allah, but y'all been doing much research in the community, and it's needed. But I was getting back to that. The only reason I don't believe it's going to get any better, because I say for the non-believer, it's going to come a reckoning at a time, and the earth is dealing with a chastisement right now.
That's right.
I wanted to add that, but I couldn't.
Now here's another thing.
Configurate
the difference between the white and our race is they are one directional, straight ahead. We are circular because we know it goes around.
God, man.
And see, they just do, like in Skull and Bone, when they take a ritual. They say, they put skulls and they say, which one is a rich man, which one is this. Do whatever you want to do, don't worry about the repercussions. You do things like George Bush's father. He did all of this, but it comes back on the family.
Yes.
Because it's, yeah.
All the Europeans are linear.